there's a recent organization, and it's related to child fatality reduction. And they put in a list of items that needed to be, if you will, established. We'll talk about some of them as well. That in order to prevent any fatalities and obviously associated with depression, things of that nature. Obviously, social media algorithms. Algorithms, not social media, but the algorithms. Tobacco use, drug use.
Wait, rewind. We're talking about this in children?
This is, yeah, well, and by the way, their establishment of children, I would assume 18 and younger.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I found it interesting that they put the topic of social media algorithms, not social media, mind you, but algorithms up there in addition to drugs, alcohol, and tobacco.
So,
and I got to ask you about tobacco in a moment. Sally, your thoughts?
So they're associating this with fatalities, not just with some sort of kind of addiction?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Both? Which one?
But fatality.
Fatality. So
Yeah.
they're saying that the algorithms of social media are causing childhood fatalities.
Yeah. Depression.
Well, I think it's because when you're like, that's what an algorithm is. It's like feeding you what you're
It's
like.
addictive.
Yeah. And so if you're consuming all of this content and it's like the same type of stuff over and over again, like say it's more like negative or stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That's what I was picturing what you were talking about with that is like,
yeah.
If you're just being fed a bunch of negative things due to your algorithm, then that might contribute to like mental health problems or.
What is interesting here is the establishment of algorithms as the problem. The difficulty with that is the consumer or the controller, let's say the controller being the parent, has no control over the concept of algorithms. Those algorithms are basically keeping up with your habitual, or if you want to say habitual, the locations that you go to, the sites that you visit. Those are the algorithms that they're utilizing, and then they're making an analysis of your use of that website. And let me tell you how insidious this is. You go to one website, then you visit another website, and then a third website. What they're doing is they're building in, if you will, a pattern or profile. And then they go into those websites and see where the common theme might be. Color, sound, the message itself, anything of that nature. And out of that, they create a profile on you and say, oh, Francis, you have a proclivity to the color yellow, and you like the sound of drums. I'm just using some random. And as a result, they focus their future messages, free messages, to you, assuring that it has the color yellow in it, and there are the sounds of drums somewhere in the background. And the idea, and then they pay attention to, do you stay with the site? And if you stay with the site, they say, aha, we now have what it is that is attractive to or conducive to Francis.
They got me.
So it is yellow and the sound of drums.
No.
But that's how the algorithms work. And I just found it interesting that the concern associated with, and again, is prevention of child fatalities, and the issue associated with depression predominantly, and addictive nature. But I found it interesting that they looked at algorithms, and I'm thinking, how can anyone control that environment? It's just it's a random thought.
Well, it is also kind of what you're choosing, right? So like, we learned about this thing in AP Gov called like selective exposure, with when you like, it's basically how algorithms are formulated to please you. So when you like something or when you choose to like it, then you're in turn influencing it to appear later. So it is selective. So even though you can't necessarily control the algorithm, you can in a way that you can pay attention closest to what you like or whatever.
But I do know what you're talking about. When I visited a college recently. I sat in on a media class, and he talked about how websites can monitor how long you're on their website for, what website you were on before you came to that website, and everything like that. And I had no idea, honestly, that they could monitor that, especially like what you were on before. That doesn't even seem. I mean, that doesn't even seem that relevant. And like you said, creating a portfolio, it's kind of more complex. It definitely has a lot to do with what McKenna was saying about liking something, especially on social media. But when you're just looking things up, that's scary.
That is a lot.
I have been saying for years, and I've been talking about this now. To your point, Sally, I agree with you. It's an age-old, we're pounding that drum again. Yes, we are. But what's really frustrating about that is that we have willingly, and I say that all of us, and predominantly your age group, but wait a second, that's true of everyone. We have willingly opened up our lives to AI, artificial intelligence. That one chip can follow each one of you independently in real time, make all those calculations almost instantaneously, and begin to create that profile of what you like, what sounds you like hearing, what visions, what videos, anything. And they create that very subtle and insidious structure so that, unbeknownst to you, you're being fed information that artificial intelligence has developed that knows that you are inclined to follow.
Right, because that's the whole point of the
It
media is that's the way they make
is.
money is by showing you the things that you like.
It
because
is.
then you like it. So yeah, obviously.
So here's my question. And this is unfair to you, but I'm just curious. Is there a solution?
I would say going to the companies that do control the AI and making them have regulations to stop doing whatever tracking they're doing. Because I don't think the problem lies in the hands of the people it's tracking. It lies in the companies that are controlling that. And how that, like how you said, it's insidious. And it does, there's people that can turn it off, but it is also the companies specifically doing that, knowing that that's the mission the AI's following.
Number one, at the very tip top,
Yeah.
Meta.
Yeah.
Unquestionable.
It's everywhere. And even apps that you don't know have it.
Exactly.
Have it. Like Instagram. If you didn't know that, Instagram has it in it.
Meta.
What?
Yeah.
Instagram has Meta in it, by the way.
I've never heard of
What?
Meta, so maybe I'm just a little
McKenna,
behind.
I mean, do you have Instagram?
No.
Mark Zuckerberg?
Oh, okay. Well, the search bar now for Instagram, it just says the word
I know
Meta.
he owns Instagram though, doesn't he?
That's Meta.
But Meta is like the overall-
Coca-Cola owns a bunch of companies.
Meta is
The head AI, basically.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's Zuckerberg.
Okay.
But I was going to say, to your point, I mean, it seems like a lot of problems, like we've talked about in, a lot of shows that we've had here, a lot of problems come back to social media and come back to people's addiction to it, come back to the fact that they can track us, things like that. Mm-hmm. It seems like getting rid of the company's ability to track people's profiles gets rid of the problem, gets rid of the addiction problem, gets rid of people, gets rid of the depression problem, and gets rid of the fact that people are being, watched, that scary kind of feeling.
Obviously, yeah, it's scary to think that there's things that are tracking you, but again, it's machines and they're doing it for money. They're not tracking you to like find out who you are and to like look into your personal life and to figure out exactly what stores you're going to. They're just doing it in order to make money, the most profit that they can. If by doing that means tracking you, then yeah.
How many of you agree with McKenna on that one?
I mean,
Okay.
I agree,
yeah.
but I also think a good point to make is the fact that,
I don't think it's a good thing. I'm just saying that the reason behind it is money.
No, I understand that. It's a good point. What she's saying is, all right,
it's
you
a good
agree.
point.
Good point.
And I agree. I think that the majority of it is to make money. But I also think that politics come into play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
I think that a point to be made is the fact that I watched the inauguration, and I noticed that Mark Zuckerberg was there. He was invited to the inauguration along with Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos.
And like
I'm just
other
saying,
corporations too, right?
Yeah, but I'm just saying he controls Meta,
the
and
vast
Meta.
majority of them, by the way, were technology companies.
Yeah, millionaires,
Yeah.
billionaires.
Billionaires, trillionaires.
But the point is that if I'm not suggesting. I mean, I don't know anything. I don't know if
it's
he has.
fine, it's fine.
But you know what I mean. Like the fact that he's that close to politics, and even the fact that my dad brought up a good point to me, because like even AI that's owned by someone. It's so easy for people to implement their political bias onto these machines and just not think anything, or I guess us not think anything of it. But for a long time, when you would Google George Washington, when you would say AI, show me a picture of George Washington, the George Washington would be like
African American.
Yeah.
And the reason was because of Hamilton.
Yeah.
And the reason is that Hamilton was such a popular play, and it's exceptional. It's genius.
So
There's no
good.
question about it. But we got so much play on Facebook and Instagram and all the social media that AI absorbed that and said, oh, well, this must be what George Washington was.
Yeah.
So it's the old adage, garbage in, garbage out. But let me challenge you on this one, McKenna.
Okay.
I say I'm going to, whether you like it or not.
I'm ready, Lockwood. Give it to me.
All right, here's the challenge. Yes, it's to make money, but the ultimate goal is to control you.
Yes, in a way, yeah. But that's the corporation's goal, is they can control you in order to make money.
I'm saddened that you say that. One, because you say it with ease, and two, you're right.
Yeah. Because
It's been like that.
it's been like that for years.
What-
AI is just the new tool,
what- Okay, I'll acknowledge
an unregulated tool at that. Completely unregulated almost.
Because it's so new that the legislation or like the government or the large corporations don't have time to regulate it.
But can you regulate something like that? This is
My thing-
this goes back
okay.
to my comment of earlier. The genie's out of the bottle.
Yes.
TikTok is a perfect example.
How is
They-
TikTok a perfect example?
Okay, the federal government wanted to close TikTok.
Okay. Yes.
Do you know what you guys did? And I'm saying that broadly.
Um,
You flooded every member of Congress
Yeah.
with complaints and angry comments, and to the extent that their cell phones and their phones in their offices and all of their internet communications came to almost a halt. The point is, and I say you guys, the public came out and said, in spite of the fact that it's a Chinese company over which we have no control and no knowledge about what it's doing and how it's doing it, we want to keep it.
I mean,
It's iffy.
and to that point, it kind of exactly backs up what you were talking about earlier about how it's compared to an addiction. Because when someone doesn't have that thing that they're addicted to, they're
Yeah,
kind of like, oh, I
it's-
gotta have it. Like I have to do something about it. I will get it back.
But I also think it's interesting that even though, yes, it probably stemmed from addiction, and even though, yes, it might be a little scary that China controls it, I also think it's interesting that enough people were able to rally up for something that they wanted to have. I just wish that it was like that for, like,
Something valuable.
something more valuable than
Yeah.
an app.
And I mean, I think people were, although TikTok can be bad, I think people were right to rally behind it because a lot of people's livelihoods are based off of that.
Yeah, that's true. I was going to
So many small businesses make all of their money off of that.
Yes.
And taking that away it's like taking away Facebook Marketplace.
But
Well,
I
the-
feel like that's not why most of the people rallied around it.
Yeah, but it is a
I
part
think
of
it's
TikTok.
a factor. I feel
Yeah.
like the TikTok community, and I'm not saying that TikTok is the best thing ever and that everyone should rot
Yeah.
their brains with the app. But I'm just saying that within those apps, and there is communities that are formed. Like not everything is bad about the app. Sure, it's controlled by the Chinese government or whatever the issue is, and
Right.
yeah, it's addicting. But again, there is communities there, and there is communities that are supportive, and there is people that have businesses there that get support from that. So it's just a community that goes back and forth.
So therein lies the question I asked earlier, I kind of leaned into. Okay, what is it that we can do to address this issue? What is it, and this goes to the issue of the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services looking at the algorithms as being a threat to life and limb and addiction, addictive nature, etc. Is there a solution? Because I go back to my comment earlier, and you all agree with it, oddly enough. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. You're not going to,
yeah.
we're not going to, so what, and let's be fair to you, this is all speculative. This is all from the hip. You're just shooting, you're drawing and shooting. And if you hit a target, if you're even in the direction of the target, all well and good. If you're not, no big deal. But what are just some brainstorming ideas to how to address this? Because you can't, to your point earlier, McKenna, and Adriana, and Sally, Francis hasn't jumped in on this one. You can't legislate it away. You can't.
Yeah, because
The very basis of social media is algorithms. Like, whether you like it or not, they're not going to go
That's what it
away.
is.
But I understand what you're saying. Like, is there a way to, like, get rid
I'm
of,
just wondering, yeah.
like, I don't know. I think, in an ideal world, we'd be able to regulate, like, what is being done with what they're monitoring,
Right.
and, like, what they're
in
tracking.
ideal world, there'd be more transparency.
Yeah, I was
That
about to
would be
say
the
that.
goal.
Like, transparency is definitely something that, like, is needed in that
Right.
regard, but I also think, like, I'm the type of person that's like, well, what am I going to do about that? Because
Right.
it's like, I'm already on social media. If they have any of my information, it's already theirs. It's like,
Yeah.
Create a new you.
I mean, I guess so. Like, they can create a new me, but I don't realistically see how we could do much about that
I'm
part.
going to tell you another interesting story. Adriana, you were shaking your head no.
Yeah, I hate to be a pessimist in this
Oh,
situation.
wait. You're not being a pessimist. Go for it.
The floodgates are open
Right.
with this, and even if they create some holy law behind it that completely tracks algorithms as a whole, I do think people are still going to find a way.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
even now there's regulations behind it, like, oh, it's age restricted, but then people just lie about their age.
Yeah.
Oh, it's parent restricted, kids find a way. There's never going to be a perfect solution for it because the floodgates are open.
Agreed.
And another thing I think is like immediately my mind went to, well, why don't we just put more laws or regulations on it? But I think that a lot of the government doesn't want to put laws and regulations on it because they're making so much money off of it. Why would they do that?
Well,
Goes
Also-
back to men.
go ahead, Sally.
I'd
Yeah.
like to point out the fact that I personally think that, especially like TikTok, especially with our generation, I think that social media heavily influences political bias.
Oh, 100%.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I was
100%,
talking
So
about with
I
the
don't,
propaganda
I
selective.
don't think they want
as
to
a
do
whole.
that.
Yeah.
They would not want to put more regulations on something.
I was
that's
going to
benefiting
say,
them so
I don't
much.
think TikTok was ever actually going to go away.
Oh,
I,
absolutely
No,
not.
I didn't
that
either.
wasn't-
I knew it
Absolutely
was
not.
not going away.
I really told my mom that.
Everyone was freaking out about it. I was like, guys, it's not.
I didn't even
Going
delete
away.
it. Yeah.
Threatened to ban that app like
So
12
many
times.
times.
Yeah.
You did?
No, the government
US,
has threatened
yeah.
to ban it like
But-
10
but
times.
Wait a second. You deleted it?
No, I didn't even delete it because I knew it was going to come back, and it was 12 hours later.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
So, boy, I want to jump on something real quickly, and we'll move on. But this is it's a fascinating topic, and yeah, I apologize, I say apologize to the crew here because we've talked about it a lot. But it is something that just, it would be fascinating to find a solution. I don't know that it's easy to do. I don't even know it's possible. But the other aspect of this, I was reading the Washington Post. I think it was Washington Post. Anyhow, it was a legitimate publication. It was Washington Post, and the columnist suggested, by the way, ladies, that everybody should have at least one burner number.
What does that mean?
Like a burner phone?
Well, you can use your phone,
Burner
but
number.
you get another number to your phone, and you can get multiple numbers
Okay.
to your phone,
I didn't know that was a thing
Why?
you could do.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
so that again, you can provide a phone number to like family, and only those people that you fully trust.
Oh, like when you have a spam email, like for
Yeah.
Let me give you an example as we go to a break. I am getting notified that I owe money on a toll.
I
just got one of
those. Yeah.
I've gotten, like,
I literally
4 in the past
screenshot
week.
it. Yeah, and sent it to my dad.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, is this real?
Like, I haven't been to any
Ladies and
toll.
gentlemen,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen of the press,
I did not.
Do not answer that message.
Did you answer it?
Ignore it.
I opened it.
He learned this the hard way.
I didn't open the link. I just opened the text message
Go.
because I was scared because I've been traveling recently. So yeah.